Welcome from the classroom. I'm Nate Quinnell, Superintendent of Schools here in East Hartford, and I really appreciate you tuning into the show. From the Classroom is a show that we shoot on a monthly basis where we take an opportunity to look at some of the great things going on in East Hartford Public Schools and get a chance to tell you a little bit of that story. And today I'm super excited to bring two guests on the show that have been a big part of our story. Our principal and Head Start Director, Lisa Beauchamp, and our Assistant Head Start Director, Dickenson-Kerr. So thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you for inviting us.
Well, we're thrilled to have you. So as you probably know, the Head Start and ECLC, or Early Childhood Learning Center, is a pivotal part of our strategy here in East Hartford to really meet our families and meet our kids at the earliest point. And Dawn and Lisa, you've been there kind of right from the beginning. Mm-hmm. And the results we're beginning to see in our schools, we certainly attribute to the work that's going on and continues to go on in the ECLC. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So Lisa, why don't we start with you?
Sure.
You know, the story of the ECLC has kind of been an interesting story that wasn't always as clear, I think, as it is where we are, where we're going right now. So can you tell our viewers at home a little bit about you, who you are, and kind of how you've gotten to where you are right here?
Sure. I've been in East Hartford since 1998. I was an assistant principal at O'Brien Elementary back in the day, and I got transferred over at the beginning of, I think it was 2001. I've been there, and I've been at Hockenham since then, and we were a pre-K. We've always had pre-K in our building. We were pre-K through 5th grade, and it sort of grew. Eventually we had as many pre-K classrooms as we did grade level classrooms. So right now, beginning in, I believe, 2016, we were transformed into the Early Childhood Learning Center at Hockenham School. And right now we have 18 classrooms of 3- and 4-year-olds. So the kindergarten through 5th grade, we take all of our children, they go to they venue out to the 8 different elementary schools when they are done with their pre-K experience, if you will. So that's sort of where we are now. And it has definitely grown. It's a conglomerate of many different programs, 3 or 4 different programs under the same roof. We have special education, we have special education resource, we have speech people as well. It's just a big group that collaborates together to serve the children and to get them ready for kindergarten.
Yeah, and it's funny to hear you tell the story in such a short, compact manner, because the real details of trailers and you know, school construction and program development certainly is a lot longer, but I like the narrative you had. Okay. So Dawn is a newer, or certainly newer, 1998 addition to our team. Dawn, we've just been thrilled to have you on board. Dawn is the assistant director for our Head Start program, but really the technical brains behind a very complex program from the federal government. So Dawn, can you talk to us a little bit about your role, how you ended up here, and Head Start specifically?
Okay, I'm definitely new to East Hartford Public Schools.
Once you're here over a year, you're no longer new.
That's true. That's true.
Well, definitely not new to the Head Start world. I'm privileged to be in Head Start for like over 22 years. Yeah. Love Head Start. Love the mission of Head Start, of serving the more vulnerable population, children that are inflicted by the negative of the community, and they're challenged. Their families are challenged, and we get the opportunity to bring them in and provide our comprehensive services. And you might say, what does all of that mean, comprehensive service? We look at the child as a part of a system. And we have the child in the family, we have the child in the community, and we want to make sure all of that is functioning. Because if the child is not if part of that system is broken, then the child cannot function well in the classroom. So we provide that services. We look at the child's health. We look at the child's dental records. We look at the parents, and we work with we have a team that works with the families, that set goals with the family, look at their economic status where they are, and we have goals for them, or we set those goals together. We work as a team. The parent is a part of the team. We recognize that the parent is the first educator for their child, then we need to work together as a team. So we have like school readiness goals formed with family engagement goals, wherein what we teach in the classroom, we're teaching the parents to continue that at home. So it's really, really exciting looking at that. The children that fall outside of the normal scope, we have a disability area that works with those children and set goals with them. We have nutrition that we look at a child that may fall outside a normal diet and create meals for them. So that's another very, very, very important area, because we want to make sure that if the child is allergic to something, that we make sure that we're not feeding them. So it's very comprehensive, and Head Start demands accountability.
Yeah.
So we're constantly assessing the entire program. We assess the community first. You say that you want to serve children in this area. Well, tell me about your community. Head Start wants to know about your community. So you have to assess your community. And after you assess your community, then they want you to assess yourself.
Yeah.
And they want you to assess the children coming in. So we assess the children 3 times. Once when they come in, we have to assess them within 90 days of them coming in. And then we have to assess them twice more as they do their journey. And we assess the teachers. We have to go in and observe the teachers. And we assess them in 3 different areas: instructional, emotional, and what's the other one? And instructional and
social, emotional,
instructional.
Yeah.
And those are assessed, and then we provide professional development around those
That's amazing.
those scale, and they measure them against the national level, and ECLC has superseded the national level in 2 of those domains, which is really, really great. And the other one, there in the instructional, we're working on it. We're working on it. We're still within the medium. We're still not low, but and we also assess the families. We have an outcome scale for the families to see where they are, and we use those to make goals for the program.
Yeah.
So, and it's a lot of accountability, a lot of regulations that we have to follow, and constantly looking at ourselves to make sure that the services that we say we're going to deliver, that are being delivered and delivered effectively.
Yeah, you know, I'm always amazed when I listen to you talk about this. I remember when I first started with Head Start and early childhood, I was like, geez, these people are talking a different language. And as I've watched it evolve over time and over years, it is a very highly technical language, of course.
Very different.
But the real language underneath it is that we support the whole child in every way, and we support the family. And that we believe by supporting children and families in the educational space, we can produce learners who are ready for the next part of the system. So, kind of going back to you on that note, Lisa, you know, you bring to this the experience of being a principal in the K through 5 setting. So there's probably no one who understands better for you what kindergartners need.
Right.
So, you know, for our families at home, like who have 3- and 4-year-olds, what are those big things that you're working on in our school, in the ECLC, to get kids ready for K?
Okay. I think Dawn hit it when she said the social emotional. So when we're getting them ready for kindergarten, we would love them to know how to, you know, recite their letters and things like that from the academic perspective. But I think Dawn would agree with me in saying that the social emotional piece is huge.
Yeah.
Anything that you can do at home to have a routine, a structure for your child, you know, bedtime routines, brushing your teeth, those things that we sort of as adults take for granted that we sort of automatically do, those are very important. We love to get the kids into a program. There's many in East Hartford, in the town of East Hartford, but we notice the difference when those children that are with us, that go on to kindergarten in East Hartford, they know that they've been in a pre-K program. So it's just that, I would say it's the social and emotional piece, because, you know, as a kindergarten teacher, you want the child to be able to attend, you know, not for a long period of time, but you want them to attend, sit in a circle, be able to socialize and to utilize their words, so that they can ask for what they need, or if they're sad, if they can identify, I'm sad, I'm angry, and why, and then work through that. the social piece along with that is also that conflict resolution. Now, East Hartford uses, and of course the name escapes me now. Second Step, thank you. And we've incorporated that in. We are in the process of incorporating that into the pre-K in all of our classrooms, in all of 18 of our classrooms, so that when our children go up to East Hartford schools in kindergarten, they have that foundation of that program, and we're all talking the same language. So again, it's that social emotional piece. You can't get to the academics if the child is having behavioral issues or even speech issues or language issues. We have a lot of dual language learners that are coming into our classrooms, and that's an area that we're really, we have to pay attention to that. So I would say it's the routine, getting them in a structure, getting them to a program so that they have that experience. But it's definitely the social emotional piece, getting along, using your words, being kind to one another. And we find that those children that don't necessarily have the language, they'll do things that kids do. They'll bite and they'll spit because they're just trying to get their message across because they don't have the language yet. And reading to your child at home. Doesn't matter what language. We really want to emphasize that second language at home, that's something that we don't want children to lose. Keep that going at home. Read to them in Spanish or whatever your language is at home, and that just enhances what they have going through to kindergarten.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember I've heard a phrase one time, all I need to know I learned in kindergarten. I think we'd alter that, all I need to learn I learned in pre-K. And that idea of social emotional learning it's amazing to me as I get a chance to travel around the district and visit kindergarten classrooms. Kindergarten teachers point out to me who has been at the ECLC or who's been in pre-K and who hasn't. And I say that, understanding the seriousness of that and the sobering message that learning how to interact and play together is a skill that allows our educators in the K space to teach. And for our families, that is certainly a really important part of the ECLC. And one of my favorite parts when I get to visit the ECLC and walk around and see the kids doing that. Kids learning how to play, kids learning how to share, kids learning to have things taken away without this being the end of my existence.
Explosion, right.
Is important. But Dawn, you talked a lot about the federal Head Start component, and can you give for our viewers a little sense of what is, you talked about loving Head Start, and obviously that's a passion, 22 years, it's a passion for you. What is Head Start? Can you give us a little sense of the federal thing and what it brings here to East Hartford on a monetary basis as well?
Head Start is a program that is a federal program that is built for families that are at a disadvantage and giving them the skills that they need to perform well in kindergarten. And that is why they want these assessments. Like Lisa spoke of the social emotional, we use the DECA tool, the EDECA tool, and that is built on a resilience theory, wherein a child learns to deal with adversities and able to bounce back, self-regulate. You see a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, because we do take in some 2.8 ones at the beginning of the year, and just not able to vocalize how they're feeling. So the teacher used that results. It spits out strategies as to how to deal with and you watch those children just blossom over the year. And also, they want you to work with the families. They want you, because that child is a part of that family. So they want you to work with a family, and they want you to work with a community, because we can't do it alone. We need the village. So we need the community to assist us in that process. So we have to build partnerships with our community agencies to assist us as we assess the families, assess the children, to help us with providing the services to them so that they can become successful, because we want to prepare the children for not just kindergarten, but for kindergarten and beyond.
So this robust, complex, obviously program is funded by federal dollars that come to East Hartford. How much is that grant? What is the size of that grant?
That grant is $1.6 million.
Right.
Yes.
So that's important for our families at home to know. The ECLC is, for the most part, funded through grants that we've been able to achieve. This is a, quote, a non-mandated program in the state of Connecticut. However, I would say anyone who said pre-K is non-mandated hasn't been around education in an awful long time. And that comes with compliance. And this is one of the things I'm most appreciative of Dawn, and I know Lisa is as well, your role in making sure that we stay in line with the grant on the federal side, we meet the audits, and move it forward. So that's 162 students are ultimately through the Head Start program, correct?
Yes.
So on the other side, Lisa, you mentioned earlier in your opening that there were a lot of programs there.
We have
Can you take the other programs
Sure.
there?
We have the Readiness Program, which is a state-funded program. We have 4 classes of readiness. We also have a Smart Start, 2 Smart Start classes. Those are state-funded, but those are specifically for public school programming. And then we have the East Hartford Public Schools Special Education Program. Those are 3 self-contained classes. They have morning and afternoon classes. So those are half-day versus the Head Start, the Readiness, and the Smart Start, which are full-day. So they're a variety, but again, we're all focusing on getting those children ready for kindergarten.
Yeah. And your role in all this as the Head Start director and principal is to be kind of, I like to, the quarterback of how these things kind of work and play together.
Right.
What makes that a challenge at times?
There's always many pieces in motion, I guess. There's always something that's happening, whether it's Head Start, Readiness, Special Ed. There's just a lot of people coming together, having meetings, a lot of meetings about children, their needs, how we can meet those needs, how we can, as Dawn said, how we can get those families to participate whole school-wide as far as programming that we have. For example, our special education department just, I think it was about a few weeks ago, we just had lunch with Pete the Cat. And Pete the Cat is one of those books, if you don't know, it's a children's book. And we had the librarian from East Hartford come in from the town. And it was just one of those things where we're trying to bring everybody together. So there's just a lot of things happening all the time, and every day is full. But again, the goal is to get those children ready and to get those parents involved. And we have overall, I mean, there's probably, I would say, 65 to 70 staff members in the building.
That's amazing.
And just a shout out to our paraprofessionals and our tutors. Without them, it just wouldn't run, and so they're just a vital part of everything that happens at the school.
Yeah. When you were talking about social emotional learning, I thought you were talking about the kids. I just realized you were talking about the adults.
Could be. Sometimes, yeah.
So another one of the neat things I've learned on the Head Start side, Dawn, and I think where we've tried to take, hey, here's what we're learning on the federal Head Start side and apply to the district is the family liaisons and the community approach. And I know you've spent a lot of time, whether it's recruitment or whether it's going out into the community to try to understand better the resources. Can you talk about that at all?
Well, we definitely need to be in the community and let the community know about all of us. Not because they need us, but we need them too. We are equal partners in this. I'm sure that agencies too have to meet their numbers, and we have to meet our requirements, and we can't do that by ourselves. Even with the $1.6 million, we still need help. We still need the community to assist us in the mission.
Yeah.
And on a personal note, I was a single parent with 3 children, and I feel like I was at such a disadvantage by not knowing about Head Start. So why didn't I know it was around? So we still need to recruit. We still need to get the message out there that we're there.
That's a perfect transition. Obviously, one of the 2 things we're working in the pre-K setting, which is different, is we're always bringing kids in, and we're always moving kids on. So for our families at home, you just talked a lot about knowing we're here and knowing this is an option for you here in East Hartford. So what are some things families need to know? What are some ways, if I want my child to go to the ECLC, what should I do? What are things I can do?
Call us. Just call the main office. We will connect you with a secretary or someone from Head Start that can help you through the intake process. Unlike kindergarten through 12th grade, if you come into East Hartford and you're a new family, you would probably simply go to central registration or go online. That's starting very soon, I believe.
Next week.
And you would go to central registration over on Town Street, and you would say, hey, I'd like to register my child. This is the neighborhood that I'm in, and my child is in 1st grade. And then you go through the process. Because we're grant funded and because we're pre-K, there's a very different process that you go through. So the first thing you would do is probably give us a call. We would be more than happy to give you a tour tour if you'd like to come in. We can set that up for you. But we would do what we call an intake, and that would decide after a few questions which program you were qualified for, if you will, from a financial perspective. From there, you would be sent down one of two roads, and then we would go through the application process. We help parents through that when they need it, especially if parents need. We have great staff in Head Start where if your English isn't so good, we can help you with that, and we help you through the process of applying. Just because you apply doesn't mean you're guaranteed a slot, and that's the difference between pre-K and K-12. So we get some parents that are a little bit confused about that. So definitely call us. After you fill out your application, we go through, we look at everybody, we look at the 4s, we look at the 3s, we look at the need. Head Start looks at the need, and you can speak a little bit about that if you like. And then we place you. Once that happens, you're invited to an orientation. If you're joining us mid-year, we will certainly bring you in and give you a tour of the place, let you meet everyone. And we're sort of one big, happy family with we have over 330 3 and 4-year-olds and 18 classrooms. So regardless of where you go, we're going to bring you in, show you the process, walk you through the process, and we go from there.
Yeah, so that's a perfect explanation. Dawn, I want to go to you to talk about some of the Head Start qualifications, et cetera, but also want to contextualize. There's 330 seats at the ECLC. There's almost 1,000 children in this age range.
Correct.
So for our families at home, understanding getting into the ECLC, we wish we could offer it for everyone. We just simply can't and don't yet. But Dawn, anything else on that Head Start process as far as things they should expect or things to be ready for?
Well, Head Start itself only requires age and income. And I don't want anyone to feel discouraged in not applying because the requirements say that we can take up to 10% of the families that are over income. So I'm still encouraging people that may feel like they're out of the income bracket to still apply. And as they come in and they call, we offer them both programs. We offer them school readiness and we offer them Head Start. So they'll do application in both areas. And, if they don't get in a Head Start, they may get in school readiness. If they don't get in school readiness, they might get in Head Start. So.
Yeah. No, that's really important. And I would also say if we can't get them in, we also have lists and resources of other providers in town that we're eager. Our goal is to make sure your child's in pre-K.
Yes.
And,
absolutely.
With the Readiness Council, which both of you are a member of across the town and city, that's another piece. So, I'm always big on favorites. I always talk about favorites. When you talk about favorite part of the job, like this is, so like for me, it's never writing reports. For you, Lisa, what's something about this job, the ECLC, is your favorite part?
I think the most rewarding thing is having those children come in September, especially your 3s, and they can't sit sometimes, and they don't know the routine, and then you go back in April, May, and they're just a different person. They're using their words, they're sharing, they're cooperating, they're raising their hand. It's just such a transformation, I guess, that you see, and the staff work so hard to get them there. So it's seeing that little one come in, and then boom, come springtime they blossom, and you can say, you're ready you're going to kindergarten, you are ready, and so that's the exciting piece of it, because every child is different. Every child learns and grows at their own rate, and some are quicker, some are slow, but they all get there, which is really exciting.
Which year, this may not, they're not even interested, which year do you see more growth in, the 3 to 4 or the 4 to 5?
Probably the 4 to 5. It really depends on when our birthdays are, but when we have 4-year-olds come in, some of them have been with us that, this will be their second year as a 4, but I think it's, that 4 to 5, and, that the beginning of the 4 to the end of the 4 when they're going into kindergarten. We have paras and tutors, and we have an instructional coach that helps them through the academics. We have children that are reading by the time that they leave. That's from several programs. I mean, it's just not one program. And it's just very exciting to see that growth. So I would say probably the 4s, because they just have that spring fling kind of thing where everything fits together and they're cognitively ready to make that step.
Yeah,
Very
man,
exciting.
I love the way you described that. I mean, we live in a world, and certainly we're parents that want to give our kids advantages.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to give your kid advantage, you need to get your kids in a pre-K program,
Right.
and I can't emphasize that enough. And
Mm-hmm.
I love the way you put that. How about you, Dawn? You're going to tell me writing reports, aren't you?
I hope not.
I like reading your reports.
There you go.
Well, not my favorite, but one that
Part you're good at.
I hold very important is making sure that the staff are okay, because the kids have enough people taking care of them, but we need to look at the staff members, that they're okay, and
Principal
we're there
and our
for
director as well. We got to make sure they're okay. And assistant, we got to make sure they're okay too.
we want to make sure they're okay, and any needs we can help them with. And as I also share with my family engagement manager, is to have our staff, their staff set goals for themselves. Because how can they help the parents with assessing goals if they're not assessing goals for themselves? Yeah. So basically, that's one of the areas that I'm passionate about, making sure that the staff grow themselves, and so that they'll feel good about themselves, so that that'll transform down into the classroom and to the kids.
Absolutely. Good stuff.
Yeah, I think that's evident when you visit the ECLC, both of your efforts to build a team and to work together.
Yeah. It's a big team, but we keep it together.
With lots of moving pieces.
It's okay. It's
So one of the challenges you guys have talked to me about, and I wanted to kind of, as we're closing out here, is attendance around early childhood education. And frankly, it's a challenge we see throughout our district of getting our kids to school.
Right.
Can you talk about that a little bit and give some advice for families listening about attendance and lay it on here?
Well,
we're going to get them in here.
Pre-K is very different because they're very young.
Yeah.
A lot of folks will come to us and say, well, it's just a daycare. Well, we're not a daycare. We're a school with certified staff that are wanting to get your kids ready for kindergarten. And children get sick. And we understand that, and we just want them there every day. Sometimes we have families that take 2 buses across town to get to our program. And on those snowy days, taking 2 buses is difficult. But we really want them to be there. Obviously, we don't want you to send your children to school sick with 102 fever. But we want your children there because we can't teach them if they're not in the classroom.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's okay to bring them if their nose is running. We have lots of tissue.
We have stocking tissue, actually. We were talking about that today.
It's okay. No, it's okay to bring them if their nose are running, and we still want them there.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Can't emphasize how important that is. We're so impacted on cold days, rainy days, obviously the half days.
Yeah.
And for our families, and I'm of course preaching to the choir a little bit here, but if you miss 10 school days over a course of 180 days, you just miss 60 hours of learning.
Right.
That's tough to catch back up on.
Right.
And when we talk about having your child socially, emotionally ready for kindergarten, recognizing their letters, able to do the things we're able to do, if you're putting them in kindergarten unable to do those things, you're putting your child at a disadvantage.
Correct.
And, again, that's something we take really seriously, and we need help. We need help from our families on that.
Yes,
And, so that's it from the classroom. Hope you tune in again next show, and we'll see you then.